Hi everyone. It's okay to be not okay. This is a catchphrase used by mental health professionals to help people to be realistic and open about their problems. It's okay to be not okay. Today I would like to apply that to our spiritual well-being. It's okay to be not okay. Let's be honest and realistic. When we have problems, we often turn to the Psalms of comfort and thanksgiving to help us. But about a third of the Psalms are Psalms of lament and complaint, expressing grief and sorrow. It seems to me that sometimes the lament psalms are more appropriate and honest for our situation than the other psalms. Psalm 120 is one of those psalms of lament. It's the first of a group of 15 psalms called the Songs of Ascent, which were probably sung by pilgrims going up to Jerusalem. Let me read it to you. Psalm 120. I will call on the Lord in my distress, and he answers me. Save me, Lord, from lying lips and from deceitful tongues. What will he do to you, and what more besides, you deceitful tongue? He will punish you with a warrior's sharp arrows, with burning coals of the broom brush. Woe to me that I dwell in Meshech, that I live among the tents of Kedar. Too long have I lived among those who hate peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. In this psalm, the psalmist gets straight to the point. I call on the Lord in my distress. He was being honest with God and making his complaint known. In fact, this is the only psalm with a woe. We start where we are, not where we want to be. You know the auctioneer's motto, it's not where you start, but where you finish that counts. It seems to me that there are three issues that the writer here complains about. The psalmist was in distress because of the lies being told about him and to him. He says, save me, O Lord, from lying lips and from deceitful tongues. The psalmist had been lied to and lied about, probably to incite others to fight against him. The lies of people are so hurtful when your words are twisted and when your motives are impugned. But as believers, there are other lies, worse lies that we have to deal with. Those lies that come from Satan and are whispered in our mind, such as, you're a failure. Don't even try. Why bother? Nobody cares. You will look a fool. Jesus said that the devil is the father of lies and it can cause us distress. Be honest, it's okay not to be okay. Call on the Lord in your distress. The psalmist was in distress because of his isolation. He says, woe to me that I dwell in Meshech, that I live among the tents of Kedar. The psalmist felt 1,000,000 miles away from Jerusalem, the temple, and God. He says he feels as if he's living in Meshech and Kedar, places to the far north and south of Jerusalem. Christians can sometimes feel distance from God. I know we know the scriptures, but we can still feel distance. We know the scripture, Christ in you, the hope of glory. Or God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. You know, even Jesus, as he was being crucified, quoted from a psalm of lament, Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? So let's be honest. Sometimes it's okay not to be okay. Call on the Lord in your distress. The psalmist was in distress because of the chronic situation he found himself in. He says in verse 6, "Too long have I lived among those who hate peace." The psalmist could see no end to his difficult circumstances. Too long, he says. The days have turned to weeks, the weeks into months, and months into years. Too long, too long. Sometimes we face situations that are not only severe, but are prolonged. Sometimes it's chronic illness, or an unhappy marriage, or other things that seem to go on and on. We begin to question the wisdom or the purpose of God, and we begin to say, too long, too long. Let's be honest. It's okay not to be okay. Call on the Lord in your distress. So the psalmist, in conclusion, began by saying, I call on the Lord in my distress, and he answers me. As far as I can see in this psalm, the only answer the writer received was the assurance that the good, just, righteous Lord was in control. In verse 4, the psalmist says, God will punish his tormentors. But even in his distress, the writer found inspiration to worship God and compose this psalm. His distress, fears and thoughts have become part of inspired scripture. Last Sunday, Pastor Billy spoke about the shepherd leading us through the dark valley. Sometimes it's very, very dark, but it is the good shepherd who is leading us through. So, it's okay not to be okay. Pray that God will bless these thoughts to your heart.